Every night, somewhere in the world, someone goes to sleep and dreams about a man they've never met before. He isn't frightening. He isn't a monster. In fact, most people who see him describe him as strangely ordinary. Just a quiet bystander, a calm observer, a man who simply appears in the background of their dreams. But here's the strange part. For nearly 2 decades, thousands of people have claimed they've dreamed about the same man, the same face, the same expression, the same unsettling feeling of familiarity. Tonight, on the Midnight Drive, we're exploring one of the internet's strangest modern legends, the mystery of this man. Now, before we go any further tonight, I want to try something with you. If you're somewhere safe, not driving, not operating any kind of heavy machinery, just close your eyes for a moment. Imagine a man standing in front of you. He isn't threatening. He isn't supernatural. He's just a man. His hairline is slightly receding. His eyebrows are thick and heavy. His face is calm, almost neutral. There's something strangely familiar about him, but you can't quite place where you've seen him before. He doesn't speak. He simply watches you. Now, imagine waking up in the morning, remembering that face very clearly, but realizing something unsettling. You have never met that man in your life. Now imagine discovering that thousands of other people around the world claim that they've dreamed about that same man. That's the mystery at the center of tonight's story. A strange internet legend simply known as This Man. The story first began circulating online in the early 2000s. According to the original account, the mystery started in New York City, 2006. A patient visiting a psychiatrist reportedly described seeing a recurring figure in her dreams. It was a man that she didn't know. She told her doctor that the man appeared repeatedly while she slept. Sometimes he spoke. Sometimes he simply stood nearby, observing. The patient described his face very carefully, and the psychiatrist sketched the image. Just a simple drawing. A composite face. A slightly receding hairline. Heavy eyebrows. A neutral expression. Absolutely nothing about the sketch looked extraordinary. It looked like the kind of face you might pass on the street and never remember again. The drawing sat on the psychiatrist's desk for several days. Then something strange happened. Another patient entered his office, and he noticed the sketch and immediately reacted. He said that he'd seen that man too, in his dreams. The psychiatrist was surprised, but very curious. He sent the drawing to several colleagues. Soon, even more people began responding. Patients from different cities, different backgrounds, different lives, all claiming the same thing. They had all seen the man while they were dreaming. Over time, the reports continued. Some dreamers said the man gave them advice. Others said he simply stood nearby, silently observing them in the dream. In a few cases, dreamers described him as comforting, almost like a guide. But what fascinated researchers the most was how ordinary he seemed. He wasn't a monster. He wasn't a supernatural creature. He wasn't even all that memorable. Just a quiet, anonymous man. And yet people insisted that they recognized him. Eventually, the story reached the internet. A website appeared with the simple question written across the top. Ever dream this man? Below the question was a composite sketch, and the claim that thousands of people around the world had seen the same face while sleeping. The website suggested that over 2,000 people from cities across the globe had reported dreaming about him. Some said he appeared during moments of stress. Others said he appeared during romantic dreams. Some described him as giving strange advice, including telling dreamers specifically to go north. But perhaps the most unsettling detail was this: he rarely spoke. Most people said he just stood there, watching, observing. The image began spreading rapidly across the internet. Forums, blogs, email chains, flyers posted in cities. Soon, millions of people had seen the sketch, and something interesting began to happen. People started asking themselves a question. Have I seen him before? And once that question enters the mind, the brain does something curious. It begins searching through memories, dream fragments, half-remembered faces. The human brain is incredibly good at pattern recognition, even when those patterns don't actually exist. And the face in the sketch had a strange quality. It looked familiar. But not because people had actually seen him. It was because the features were generic enough to resemble many different faces at once, which meant something remarkable could happen. Someone might see the image and suddenly feel convinced they had dreamed about him before. And the legend of this man continued to grow. What do you think? Have you ever seen this man in your dreams? If you have, go ahead and reach out to us. Let us know in the comments below, or send us a message, or leave us a message on our Midnight Drive hotline, 402-610-2836. You're listening to The Midnight Drive. Welcome back to The Midnight Drive. Tonight, we're talking about this man, a strange man that thousands have claimed to see in their dreams. By 2009, the story of this man had spread across the internet like wildfire. The website received thousands of messages from people claiming that they had seen the mysterious face while dreaming. Some described him as helpful. Others said he appeared in the background of their dreams like a quiet observer. And a few accounts described darker encounters. Dreams where the man became threatening or even violent. But one detail remained consistent. The majority of the dreamers described him as calm, passive, just present, watching, listening, and waiting. Psychologists have long been fascinated by the strange ways dreams work. During sleep, the brain processes memories, emotions, and experiences from our waking lives. Faces are particularly powerful in dreams because the brain is wired to recognize them. But there's an important rule about dreaming. Our brains usually cannot invent entirely new faces. Instead, they tend to recycle faces we've seen from somewhere else before. A stranger on the street. Someone from childhood. A person glimpsed briefly in a crowd. Faces are stored in memory even when we don't consciously remember them. So the idea that people might dream about a face that feels familiar isn't unusual at all. But the idea that thousands of people might dream about the same face, now that feels a little bit different. Some people suggested a psychological explanation. Perhaps the image itself had spread widely enough online that people began dreaming about it after seeing it. A kind of suggestion. Once the face enters the mind, it becomes part of the dream landscape. It becomes part of the pool of options that your brain can pull from. Others pointed out to the work of psychologist Carl Jung. Jung believed that humans share certain universal symbols and archetypes buried deep within the unconscious mind. Perhaps this man represented one of those archetypal figures. A symbolic stranger who appears during moments of emotional stress. And of course, there's always the more unusual theories. Some have suggested that someone had discovered a way to project images into other people's dreams. Others speculated about shared subconscious fields of information. Even supernatural explanations appeared. But eventually, the mystery took an unexpected turn, because the story of this man wasn't actually a mystery at all. It was an experiment. In 2010, the creator of the website stepped forward. An Italian sociologist and marketing researcher named Andrea Natella. He revealed that the entire story had been invented as a guerrilla marketing art project. The psychiatrist, the patients, the reports of thousands of dream sightings. All of it was fiction. The sketch itself had been created using a simple facial composite tool. Nutella later explained that the project was designed to explore how easily modern myths could spread across the internet. How a simple idea, repeated often enough, could become very believable. In other words, this man was never meant to be real. He was meant to become a modern urban legend. A guerrilla marketing team created an urban legend. And I think you could agree that the experiment succeeded perfectly. Because millions of people saw the image. Thousands of people wrote messages describing their dreams. And the legend spread across the world. But here's the fascinating part. Even after the hoax was revealed, 2010, the hoax was revealed. Even after the hoax was revealed, the reports didn't completely stop. People still occasionally claim that they have dreamed about this man, which raises a strange possibility. Perhaps the phenomenon did not exist at first. But once the idea entered the collective imagination, it became real in a different way. Not necessarily supernatural, not necessarily paranormal, but entirely psychological. A story powerful enough to influence what people dream about. It's almost as if a seed was planted in the subconscious of thousands of people. And once planted, it continues growing. Tonight, somewhere in the world, someone will fall asleep. And they'll drift into their dreams. And maybe, just maybe, a quiet man with heavy eyebrows and a familiar face will appear in the background. He won't threaten them. He won't scream. He'll simply stand there, watching, waiting, listening. Maybe even tell you to go north. And when the dreamer wakes up tomorrow morning, they might feel a strange sense of recognition. As if they've seen him somewhere before, even if they never have.